Good evening, everyone. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all to our bidding document workshop series, which is organized by MSc in Public Procurement and Supply Chain Management program. So, first of all, we have Professor Nalin Abesekara, the Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies, the Open University of Sri Lanka, to welcome you all. So, dear sir, the platform is yours.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I warmly welcome all of our audience, especially Mr. Ivan Tisera, one of the respectful professional and the lecturer, the commission member, National Procurement Commission, and the retired Additional Director General IMOIF. And more importantly, we can see all our learning partners, around 45 plus partners actually actively involved with this session. This we considered as one of the very important session for the university and for the country, because we discussed one of the very important aspect on bidding document workshop for learners. So again, as the Dean of the Faculty, I warmly welcome Ivan sir for your whatever the sessions you conduct up to now. I think well received by the learning partners, and we really appreciate your commitment and your all this interest towards the subject and love towards the subject. So that is one particular remark I just want to make. Thank you, Nadini, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your thoughtful words. And
Yes. Nadini?
yes, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, now I can hear.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. So next we also have privilege to the Mr. Ivan Tisera as the resource person for our this workshop series. So he is a commission member of National Procurement Commission and one of the most contributed person for our program. So thank you very much, sir, for your generous support. And dear sir, the platform is yours now.
Thank you so much, Nadini, for the opportunity and very generous words about me. So shall I share my document now?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Our
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. So I think this is a good opportunity for you to get your understanding on very, very important area of public procurement, which is the procurement documents, or we earlier used bidding documents. Why we use procurement documents instead of bidding document? in our new guidelines, as well as the World Bank, ADB, they use the procurement because not only bids we call proposals as well. In such a situation, we have to issue requests for proposals and things like that. That's what we use a different word. Don't worry about that. What is the purpose of procurement documents? And there are variety of documents. You will understand soon. First of all, this discussion confined only to documents confined to works, goods, and non-consulting services. We are not going to discuss any document under consultant services because it's completely a different module and different documents. So if you consider works, goods, and service also, there are different methods. You all are very familiar now. There are international competitive bidding methods, national competitive bidding methods, national shopping methods, and in addition, limited international and limited international and national. It is also same document we use. International document we use for open competitive bidding as well as limited. We use the same document for national competitive bidding as well as limited national bidding. And there are two types of document we could identify under these three categories. Again, local documents or USL documents, as well as donor documents introduced by ADB, World Bank, especially JB. Because if we use donor funds, they insist to use their documents, especially international competitive bidding documents. On the other hand, some documents are not still developed by the National Procurement Commission or previous National Procurement Agency. So today we get a full understanding of the entire scope of procurement documents. First, I invite you, as I always mentioned to you, to ask more and more questions if you have any doubt. Procurement documents are to inform and instruct potential bidders.
Excuse
the
me, sir. Sorry
yeah,
for the disturbance, sir. Still, we can't see the slides.
Sir,
really? Why? That always happened to me, no? Now it's okay, no?
No, yeah. Now fine, sir.
Okay, sorry for that. Right, again I'll start. The purpose of procurement document. According to our guidelines and donor guidelines, we can look at. Procurement documents are to inform and instruct potential bidders of the requirements expected from them. Because we have to develop the documents in order to procure works, goods, or non-consulting services, and we will have to inform them all the information relevant to the procurement and for the bidder to respond. Thus, procurement documents should be drafted so as to understand and permit bidders to submit responsive bids proposals. Here, now see, not only bids, proposals. That's why we have changed the word bidding document to procurement documents, right? All the changes you should identify. Without ambiguities and same understanding at equal footing. You see, if you make any mistake in the procurement document, it will be a terrible mistake. Sometimes we cannot continue with the bid, or we cannot evaluate the bid, or bidders can't submit their proposals or bids properly. And we will face a huge problems if we don't prepare the documents perfectly. The idea is perfection is very important. If you make even one word, instead of shall, if you put may, instead of shall, if you put may, that will give a huge difference in the procurement business. Therefore, procurement documents should clearly define the specification, Yeah, number one, procurement documents includes many things. One is a specification in relation of goods, scope of work in case of works, right? In case of works, it is not the specification. Sometimes we give specification, but the guiding document is the scope of work and schedule of requirement for non-consulting services. As I said, we are discussing in the future 3 different types of documents: works, goods, and non-consulting services. So one of the document is specification, scope of works, and schedule of requirements. Non-consent. Terms of reference, we use the terms of reference. There is another word for information systems or consulting services generally. But here, information systems has 2 parts: goods part as well as consulting part, or goods part as well as intellectual part. So therefore, it is categorized under this procurement document. Therefore, generally, we can identify IS as a separate procurement because it has goods features as well as consultancy features. So that is the document we use for IS services. That means information systems to be procured. The right, and that is very important. The document should spell out rights and obligation of both parties. I must recall your memory again. The 2 parties we have mentioned earlier. In case of goods, government party is what is the word we use? Purchaser. The other party, those who provide, is the supplier or seller. Normally we use supplier. In case of works, government party is the employer. The other party is the contractor. In case of non-consulting services, government party is again the employer. The other party is called the service provider. All right. So in case of consultancy, it's a different, but here these 3 words import. So the rights of the employer or the purchaser or the and obligation, both parties have both rights and obligations, right? It should be clearly spelled out in the bidding documents or procurement documents of the P and the bidders, and the conditions to meet. What are the conditions to meet in order for bid proposal declared to be valid and responsive? We put some conditions in the sense, some requirements, eligibility or various requirements we put in the document, because everybody can't submit their bid freely if they are not qualified or if they don't have the capacity. Various points are there. They should also set our fair and non-discriminatory criteria. That is another very important. In the procurement document, we should categorically mention in the document what is the evaluation criteria or selecting criteria for winning bids, right? Then bidder will understand how I can win the contract. So we cannot change. Once we declare the evaluation criteria and qualification, sometimes we cannot change. If you have made some mistake in the document, sorry, we cannot change. We have 2 options. We have to evaluate as it is, or in a very crucial situation, we'll have to cancel the entire document, because we have no right to change the evaluation criteria. Very correctly, public officials, those who develop this bidding document, make a lot of mistakes. One thing is they have lack of competency, lack of knowledge. They don't think it is too serious. But even I said at the beginning, even a one word instead of shall, if you put may, that give a huge difference. Therefore, if we have made mistakes or if we get wise ideas after opening, we cannot employ, right? So that is very important. Are set out in the procurement guidelines, right? We have given some instructions regarding the evaluation and selecting criteria also. P shall take utmost care. That is the point. Take utmost care, not care, careful, utmost care to draft the procurement documents within the framework of procurement guidelines as a condition of procurement. In the procurement documents are the governing principles. Procurement documents are the governing principles of or rule of game. That is the rule of game, both two parties. In selection of the successful bidder upon the time that the procurement documents are published. If you make mistake, what will happen is they protest. Bidder protest, and we will have to investigate that protest and inquiries. Sometimes we have made the mistake. If we don't take the correct decision, they have the right to go to courts also. You know, there are number of cases, court has taken decision to injunction and various court orders. Therefore, that is because we have made some mistake either way at the drafting stage or evaluation stage, or even at the what do you call this appeal process. The detail and complexity of this document may vary. That is, I said, the detail and complexity may vary with the size, nature of the procurement process. That is a very important point, because we cannot use one set of document for all. There is no one single dose for all procurements. That is completely different. One thing is, we cannot use works document for goods or goods document for works, or works or goods document for non-consulting services, so IS. Those are completely different. Different conditions, different information, different evaluation, etc., etc. And also, even though works, we cannot use the same document for international competitive bidding or national competitive bidding, because conditions are different. Because if you deal with international bidders, contractors, it is not the same as local contractors. The payment terms, various differences are there. Or shopping is a small thing. Therefore, you must understand very clearly there are diverse range of different documents. I have given all the information regarding the available documents. The following are the essential contents of procurement document. If you consider procurement document, at the very first side, you should understand what are the contents. That is very important, because if you know, there are two committees involved in the procurement, that is Technical Evaluation Committee, or in the new guideline, we say Bid Evaluation Committee, and the Procurement Committee. All right. So the preparation of bidding documents or procurement document is not the duty of these two committees. Very, very seriously, you must take that point. Some people think, they are the expert, they should prepare the document. I say, no, that is none of their business. Their business is to approve the document prepared by the public officials. That's why you should have the very clear understanding, knowledge to prepare documents if you involve in the procurement process at any stage. any level, right? Now in our new guidelines, we have established a new divisions that is called the Procurement Management Division. Throughout the country, every entity, ministry, department, state-owned enterprises like universities, even regional office, project office, everywhere they should establish a procurement management division and headed by a either chief procurement officer or a procurement officer or senior procurement officer based on the level of the significance and the complexity of the procurement involved. All right. They are not new people, and understand that. They are not new recruits. They are the existing officers selected by the head of the department or head of the ministry or whatever, or the university. So once they are identified as procurement officers, they should continuously work at least for some period, because the NPC and the procurement officers has a big linkage, and NPC has planned to provide rigorous training to these PMD officials, because we have assigned large number of duties to the PMD or procurement management divisions. So one of the task is developing procurement documents. That's what there are many other about 25 actions, activities. One is this, right? So on the other hand, if you properly prepare the document and submit to TEC for approval now you sit on the other side of the coin, see that you are a member of the TEC, you are a member of the procurement committee, and some documents have placed before you for your approval. If you don't have a checklist, if you don't have a prior knowledge of what are the contents of document, if they intentionally or unintentionally miss some documents, we may not notice that because we have no checklist. We don't have checklist. Whatever the documents submitted, you approve. Perhaps sometimes they have or intentionally, unintentionally miss a very important document. Yet you have not noticed that because you don't have the checklist. That is, I always say, you should have a clear understand what should be the general contents of bidding documents. This is applicable for national level and international level. Shopping level, you don't get much details or information like this. This is the high procurement. National level, international, either works or goods or whatever service, right? Number one, invitation for bid. That is your bid invitation. Generally, we say IFB. That is the number one. Or we use request for bid, or another word we have to put expression of interest. Expression of interest. That means EOI. EOI. Right? So that is the notice. There are different notice. Don't worry up to this level. Then instruction to bidders, we generally say ITB. Bid data sheet, that is part of the ITB, bid data sheet. Evaluation and qualification criteria. Evaluation criteria, we generally say evaluation criteria. Then another number of documents, form of bid, price schedules. Generally, we say contract forms and bidding forms. There are various. There is number of, will come to. Then very important is general condition of contract. Then special condition of contract, or contract data. That is also connected to special condition. BDS or bid data sheet is connected to ITB. Special condition, particular condition, there are different words they use. Contract data is connected to the general condition. But contract data, the word we use in case of works. Special condition or particular condition, sometimes special or particular condition. We can put that word also, particular condition. Particular condition of contract used for goods, non-consulting services, or information systems, etc. But in case of works, we use contract data rather than special condition. Then as I said, specification, functional requirement, schedule, whatever the requirement, employees requirement, that should be relevant to that. Then various drawings. You say if a work is work procurement is, we should give the drawings. The contractor look at the drawing and give his price. And sketches, plans, and also very important is BOQ, bill of quantity. That is again for works, or bill of materials. And delivery, when they should finish the work or goods or whatever, delivery schedule. And contract agreement, that is part and parcel of the contract forms. Anyway, they are given separately. That means ultimately, if the selected contractor, employer and the contractor, we should sign the contract. Or a purchaser and the supplier, we should sign the contract. That is also different types of contract agreements, right? You should, that is very important again. There are different types of contract agreements. Lump sum contract, measure and pay contract, performance-based contract. Now we have introduced a very important new agreement type that is called framework agreement. Whatever the procurement and contract you are going to sign, you have to very carefully select the contract document, because there are different contract agreements available. If you miss and attach something irrelevant agreement, that will be a big issue. The sample format, as I said, various formats we give regarding various purposes. Security, performance security, advanced payment guarantee, various things are there. But it is generally an idea. You can understand how complex the bidding document. Each document has particular information. Some are standards, some have to fill by the employer, employees or procurement officials, and some should be filled by the contractors, suppliers, or service providers. Now we can turn our discussion to a different area. Standard documents, standard bidding document, or standard procurement. That means documents already prepared by an agency. In case of GOSL funded projects, the earlier NPA has developed some documents, and in the future, NPC has to develop some documents, because I said some are missing still, right? P shall use the appropriate SPD, BD for GOSL funded project, if available, right? You cannot deviate from that. You can't use your own prepared document. That is completely wrong. You will have to follow the standard document. For example, in case of works, we have an authorized institution called CIDA, Construction Industry Development Authority. They issue documents with the approval of the National Procurement Commission. Earlier, with the approval of the National Procurement Agency. even though it is an independent agency, all the document they should issue is subject to the approval of the NPC or NPA earlier. Right? P may change. You can change. May change SBD, not the standards, but I said you can change big data sheet. You can change special conditions. If you can change contract data, not the general condition, not the special condition. Generally, it is not allowed. It's in PDF form. If you try to change, that will give some, jumping and things like that. So you may change SPD as appropriate by considering the nature and complexity of the procurement or use agency or procurement specific special information you can include. That is your role, but not the standards. That I will come to later, because those are developed by international consultants like PDIC and things like that. If there are any contract specific issues to be addressed, such changes shall be introduced only through bid proposal or contract. That is, I said, say you can change the contract data or through special particular conditions. And not introducing changes to standard document to ITBO, not essentially not ICB in instruction to bidders or general country. You cannot touch that area. Standard procurement document, again, when mandated under the financing agreement, that means, as you know, we don't have enough funds in the country, we get loans, foreign loans. There are two types of loans we get: bilateral loans, that means two countries, and multilateral loans. That means like World Bank, IMF, ADB, those are called multilateral organizations. If you get a loan from India or China or whatever, that's called bilateral, two countries. Sometimes they insist to use their procurement guidelines, if they have, for example, especially China, India, they put their terms. We have two options. Either we accept that loan or grant, or to follow their system. Therefore, the guideline has allowed to use their procedures up to some extent, not completely. I'll come to that. So whatever it is, there are documents developed by funding agency also. When mandated under the financing agreements, PD developed by foreign funding agencies, that is called like ADB, World Bank, shall be used for the procurement pertaining to a project which is financed by a respective financing agency, such as PD developed by FFA, foreign financing agency, shall be used. In case of national SPD are not available. On the other hand, I said we don't have all the documents. At the moment, we don't have a document, ICB document for goods, even though we use local funds. So in the future, we have to develop the document for ICB goods. So what to do? So we'll have to use World Bank or ADB document and adjust to our country situation. That is a very carefully you have to do with a very proper understanding of the subject. Otherwise, you make a lot of mistakes, and that's irrelevant parts may appear in the document if we don't delete unnecessary part from the World Bank document if you use for local, right? Irrespective finance use SPD developed by shall be used. In case of national, P may use other appropriate, PE may use, you have to use. There is no other way, no? If you don't have standard document with necessary amendment. for GSL funded procurement. That is at the moment a gap, right? If we have all documents, that it is not possible. We will understand how many documents the World Bank ADB has developed because they have diverse experts. They have all over the world procurement experts, various areas. So we, country like Sri Lanka, still we are very low. That's what the training like this is very crucial. So people should understand the subject of public procurement as a separate discipline. I again thankful to the University of Open University for launching a very important MSc program, because at least in the future, after a couple of programs, we will be able to at least develop some expert. So as you all know, I have developed diploma in public procurement contract administration when I was the director of NPA in 2006. And I have personally conducted about 7 programs and developed hundreds of procurement experts, those who are working now. I am happy to say that some procurement assistants, those who followed that course, now they work as international consultants. Some have got PhD in public procurement. I am very happy to say that. So I hope many of you also can get this opportunity and develop your skill set and become a procurement expert, not only national, international. As I repeatedly mentioned you, there's a highly paid profession. If you work even in Sri Lanka project, you are paid a very high salary compared to other officials in the government. And if you work in a funded project or the international thing, it is a millions of rupees or dollars, right? Therefore, you try to learn this subject very accurately and fully. Otherwise, you will not be able to give your advice properly, right? So understand that. Use of FIDIC, I said, there's a agency called FIDIC. This is not English, huh? International does this in French from contract, right? So FIDIC is a very important, but don't worry about FIDIC. We will have a separate presentation on FIDIC because they have issued about 8 different books, red books, silver book, gold book, etc., etc. It for different purposes. It is widely used international condition of contract, and there's a harmonized version also. You will understand it. Don't worry at the moment. If the sometimes foreign funding mandated to use FIDIC, right? Then you have to use, you can use FIDIC, right? For example, FIDIC Red Book for measure and pay contract. Where CEDA documents are not appropriate, FIDIC form of contract may be used. If you don't have CEDA document, I said the CEDA is only for works, huh? CEDA documents, within bracket, you can put only for works. Only for works contract. Not for other things, huh? Are not appropriate. FIDIC form of contract may be used. In such instances, P should furnish the special circumstances that warrant using FIDIC form of contract to PC, procurement committee. PC means procurement committee for its concurrence, right? PC is procurement committee. And record the agreement, whatever the rejection in the minutes, whatever it is allowed if you use donor funds. Otherwise, you can't use. That also you must keep in your mind. If it is not a donor fund, donor is not mandated to use FIDIC, you cannot use FIDIC. You have to use local document. Bid Devolution Committee, that is TEC, TEC. The word Bid Devolution Committee, TEC, we explain in bid devolution sessions. Should review, you have to review and appropriate document, say review, you have to review and approve actually, appropriate document for the procurement and should agree. Should agree. You should agree. Committee should agree with the contents prior to the submission of PC. So, contents. Bid evaluation committee is the expert panel, earlier TC. You should very seriously scrutinize the document, agree of the contents, then submit to PC for their concurrence. Respective PC should approve. PC generally PC will do that because both committees are responsible, but based on the TC or BC recommendation only they can do because they don't have the expert knowledge generally. Second. Thereafter, BC and PC are collectively responsible. That means if you make any blunder, any mistake, both are responsible. I will tell you one simple example. We had a meeting with your new president also. That also brought up, I think you must have noticed in the news, we discussed the National Procurement Commission with this president, honorable president. And one question raised by one official in the president office, that means some locomotives we have purchased cannot use. Why? The failure in the insufficient information in the specification. There is ultimately billions or millions of rupees we have to waste. You see, earlier also during Chandrika Bandaranaike's period, president, we imported 8 locomotives from France. We couldn't use that because that locomotives are not fit to our railway track. So that is one thing we can say, fraud or corruption, but it appears a wrong specification. You just imagine the impact of wrong documents as part of the bidding document. In a situation where BEC does not exist, yes, I said in our new guideline, we propose to have one committee that is called procurement committee, but all experts are part and parcel, right? Now one committee in order to avoid the delays and all. So we propose that. He is responsible for the purpose of content. So that is in the future once the guideline are issued, new guideline. And in our guideline, we have suggested to all procurement entities, inclusive of universities, you should maintain a resource center that will be in the PMD, Procurement Management Division, all the standard documents and large number of donor guidelines and user guide, very important, right? User guides, right? Without reading the user guide, you cannot understand the document. Therefore, if you are really interested, at least few of the participants, learning partners are interested, personally, you can search. Some are freely downloadable. You can download free. All right. Then have a copy. But now you all are very familiar with the computer. You can have a soft copy as well. Right. Whatever it is, resource to maintain a resource center is very important. The Ps are required to maintain a resource center for standard document related to procurement, including a standard procurement document developed by CEDA, NPC, Foreign Funding Agency, FEDIC, etc. So the huge set of documents you will collect, at least if you access to this. But some FEDIC document, I don't know whether you can freely download. And other relevant agencies for easy reference. CAO, Chief Accounting Officer, as you all know, the secretaries, head of the department called accounting officer, shall ensure keeping of such document by the P within the resource center. Right, that is our new instruction. Now start the issuance. Once we develop the document, we have to issue for the benefit of the bidders. So once we prepare and check and approve by the respective committees, it is available for bidders to purchase. So you can charge. So charges are specified in the Treasury Circular, which is given in the manual. So you cannot charge a very high amount to discourage bidders. You can charge the approved amount, right? Where the prevailing speed is for goods, non-consulting service and shopping. It's another one, as I said, shopping. It's a request for quotation, which have been issued by the NPA Treasury. Treasury has not developed any document. All the documents issued are called Treasury document. In absence of NPA earlier, it was closed down. Now nobody is has the authority other than the National Procurement Commission. And the SPDs which may be issued, I said NPC has to issue new documents in the future shall be used, right? Which are missing at the moment. Where there are no relevant, earlier also you mentioned, the P may use any other suitable document with appropriate changes in line with procurement guidelines. It is recommended to use PD issued by the respective institution as stated the procurement manual, right? By evidence. All right. That is for your understanding. Okay, now understand, I will give some insight because you have never, I don't think you have access to this information yet. There are a number of international organizations like FIDIC, right? Those are called the different names. FIDIC, I said, Joint Contract Tribunal. That is called Joint JCT, right? National Federation of Building Trade Employers and others. There are different organizations. Commonly, we use JCT. ICE, that is another institute. Institute of Civil Engineers in UK. They also issue conditions, contract condition. They are issuing conditions of contract. Then now another thing, new engineering contract, published by Institute of Civil Engineers in 1991. CEDA, as you know, in domestic construction in Sri Lanka, earlier ICTAD, those are different institutions. FIDIC condition mainly used for international contract for both public and private sector. I don't want to discuss FIDIC yet because we will discuss separate. So JCT form of contract. JCT, as I mentioned earlier, with quantities version. Measure and pay. This is for measure and pay. FIDIC also has different condition of contract, form of contract. Basic form and is used where project has been designed and detailed. Project has been designed in detail. If you have designed the project in detail only, you can prepare the bill of quantities. Otherwise, it is not possible to use the measure and pay. Have been produced which form from the basis for contract sum. It sets out procedures to be followed for the administration of contract by the appointment of an architect. All right. So normally the designer also provide for appointment of a quantity survey. There are different officials involved in the process. Architect is involved. Quantity survey is involved. They have different roles. Used where the work has been designed without finalization of details. There is another form, they say approximate quantities. JCT, another form. Use where the work has been designed without finalization of detail. Earlier is different. Thus, only bills of approximate or provisional quantities will be prepared under this contract condition. The bill provides the basis for lump sum of money, not measure and pay, right? To be stated as the tender price, the difference between lump sum and measure and pay, you will to know, but you can discuss in detail future. So third one is without quantity version. Use where the work has been designed in substantial detail, but where size or complexity does not warrant the production of bill of quantity. The huge mega projects, complex project. But you have substantial details in the design. It provides for the value work as it proceeds and measure and value variations. The same provision as with quantities from equally apply to this form as the contract document, no BOQ, and with schedule of rates. So that means a different usage. Now, I mean, this is for your knowledge. Don't try to find the JCT and ICT or any because you cannot find and you cannot use. For your the academic interest I'm telling, you can use only FIDIC. FIDIC we will have a different presentation. JCT form of contract is generally for minor works, small works, generally suitable for small contract. It is simpler and briefer and on firm price. That means fixed price basis. The form does not provide for use of BOQ. Does not provide a BOQ or nomination of subcontractors. Provide for appointment of an architect is there. You have to appoint an architect. Fixed fee for form of prime cost contract, that is JCT version again. Use where the contract works have not been fully pre-designed. You can use fixed fee. Contract works not been fully pre-designed. Possible due to complex nature of projects again. It is also ideal for urgent project. That is another usage. Sometimes we have urgent project, we have no time to prepare this information, requiring quick appointment of contractors. Sometimes we have to mobilize contractors on a disaster situation, tsunami or COVID or whatever. The client being more concerned with speed of completion than the actual cost. The speed of completion is paramount than the cost, because sometimes we have to sacrifice. It may be high cost due to urgency. The use where the contract work have not been fully is same thing, no? I didn't have to delete that part. The contract provide for the appointment of an engineer. Now, under this, engineer is a person between the contract and the employer. He is an independent person. It is not necessarily a civil engineer. Don't think that he is an engineer by profession. The word called the engineer is a person in between the contract and the employer. He should be an independent person. And also a resident engineer or assistant to the engineer or clerk of work. There are different words. Clerk of work, they have different roles. I don't want to discuss it here. Assistant to engineer, that is also a defined term. And engineer is important. He has a bigger role to play in construction industry. Special conditions provide for contract price fluctuation. Here, price fluctuation is there. Price escalation provision is there. Another condition of contract, ICE, fixed fee form of prime cost contract, fixed fee again. The contract provides for the appointment of engineer again. Engineer and also residence engineer or assistant engineer or clerk of work to watch and supervise. That is their job. They have to supervise throughout the construction. A special condition provides for contract price fluctuation also there. So you just identify some features. Okay, there's another condition, new engineering condition, NEC, introduced in 1991, civil engineers in UK. They are some outline, general, condition given. The subcontractors as well, time, quality payment, compensation event, property, risk and insurance, dispute, various things. There are 6 types of contract available with NEC. Conventional contract with activity schedules. I think you will understand in the future what does it mean by activity schedules in case of works contract. Conventional price contract is bill of quantities, a familiar thing. It is the employer will give the quantities and the quantities. That is one, quantities. Then the bidder will fill the rates. Right? We have also rate, but we will keep it blank. Bidder to fill the rate. And finally, we can calculate the subtotal and finally calculate bidder's price. And we can compare our price and we can evaluate whatever. So, target contract with activity schedule. Target contract with bill of quantities. Cost reimbursement contract. There are various applications under new engineering contract. The some flexibilities are given in the intended to be used for engineering for construction work for any nature. Intended to be used whether the contract has some design responsibility. All things are detailed. I intend to provide all normal options for type of contract. Clarity and simplicity, although a legal document, the NEC written in ordinary English, such that is easy to understood. It has no long sentences. That is generally used many institutes, but not in Sri Lanka directly. That is, they have given some more information. Stimulus to good management. NEC is claiming that it designed so that it is implemented and should contribute rather than detract from the effective manner. All the benefits are included here. Okay, that is for your understanding. I said, other than the FIDIC, we will discuss little detail in the future because we are using that. These are for your academic. So NPA, as I said earlier, National Procurement Agency, established in 2004, and we issued our guidelines. Still, you all are using NPA guidelines and manuals, and we have issued some document, but in between the process, we had to stop our work because the NPA was closed down by the previous regime, right? So, what the document NPA has developed, still after NPC was established in early also, it was closed down, and now the new NPC was established last year, right? So we are doing a great job, and we are about to issue the guidelines and manual procurement works, and to issue new guidelines for consultant services, pharmaceuticals, and contract management, and many things we are on the way. Therefore, we have a very limited skeleton staff. We are looking for experts If you develop your expertise, you have a good opportunity to work for the National Procurement Commission as a consultant, right? We have a big problem to find competent consultants in Sri Lanka. So to develop various things, SPD goods NCB we have, SPD goods national shopping we have, SPD non-consultant services we have. That is for NCB level. Those are the 3 documents we have. In addition, we have a RFE document for consultancy, which we are not going to discuss consultancy yet. ICTAR, now called SIDA, introduced in 1986 first, revised 1981, and replaced in 2006. And currently also they have some changes made. ICTAR condition of contract. This is important because we are directly using ICTAR documents. Provisional sums items are generally allowed in BOQ. Provisional sums. If you look at our manual and our estimates, you will find provisional sums and provision for contingencies in the BOQ. That is for uncertain and unforeseen items. So it is there in works contract. When a provisional, but generally that is not there in goods and other service. There is no price fluctuations, contingency, etc. When a provisional sum is particularly for subcontractors' work, it is called a prime cost, right? That's the terminology they use. In the nominated subcontractor system, the employer selects subcontractor. Employer selects subcontractor. The subcontract is entered between the main contractor and the nominated subcontractor, right? Therefore, the first requirement for the employment of a nominated subcontractor is to have a provisional sum or prime cost item in the main contract. That is the requirement. The employer engineer select, because on behalf of the Employer Engineer Act, engineer has a bigger authority and role to play, because as an independent consultant, select the nominated subcontractor by a separate tender procedure. After the selection is made, the nominated subcontractor sign the agreement. Nominated subcontractor sign the agreement with the main contract. That is given in the document. Okay, these are the documents SIDA has issued so far. SBD1, standard bidding document, procurement of works. They have given values. 2 major contracts, 3 minor contracts. This is SIDA design and build contract. Those are the 4 documents we have. Now look at the documents developed by the World Bank. RFB, request for bid, rather than invitation for bid, they've used the request for bid. So goods. This document for one envelope process. I think I discussed during my bid evaluation presentations. We have different bidding procedures. Basically, the World Bank and ADB, etc. on our also. Earlier we had 4, now we have concluded to 3, whatever it is. One is a single stage, single envelope. Single stage, single envelope. Both the technical and financial proposals are put in one envelope, and we open and do the rest of the thing. But for more complex one, like design and build, it cannot be done. We have single stage, 2 envelope, right? Goods or works or whatever, 2 envelope. Technical proposal in one envelope, financial proposal in other. The procedure is different. That's why you cannot use this document for 2 envelopes. So you'll have to follow the correct document. But we don't have different documents locally, right? So we will put all information in the bid data sheet, etc. in order to use one envelope for 2 envelope. And standard procurement qualification document for health sector. So that is a different document. RFB health, pharmaceutical or whatever. RFB education, and those documents available at least for your knowledge. Standard procurement qualification document works. RFB large works. One envelope after pre-qualification. The pre-qualification is a different process. Before issuance of the document, we check their qualification.
Sir,
Right.
excuse me.
Yes.
Are there any possibility to facilitate with the standard bidding document for each and every the method and the goods and service and consultancy?
No, consultancy completely out. Consultancy we are not discussing here. So these documents I may show you what are the documents available for goods first. These 2 goods is generally 1 and 2, only 2. Others are different sectors now. This one for works. This is
No,
large
sir. No, I'm asking if there any possibility to at least upload the sample document to the LMS.
Yeah, you can. I think you can. It is a large volume of document. You go to internet, and I think the World Bank allows, right? You go and search World Bank website and download. I think it is allowed, right?
Right.
Okay. And there are large pages in a document, maybe 100 pages sometimes. So whatever it is allowed. If you are interested, you can keep copies in your library. Large works, again, one envelope without pre-qualification. There are 2. And another document for roads, output and performance. Those are different contract terms. Output-based and performance-based road, they have a different. Works, French civil law version, you see different, completely different. Our request for bid, small works, 2 envelope. Small works, 1 envelope. Plant, that's machinery and things, plant, after pre-qualification 1, without pre-qualification another 1. Initial selection document plan, another 1. RFP plan, that's another document. So you'll have to select appropriate document if you are going to pre-qualify different document, after pre-qualifying another document. If you don't want pre-qualifying at all, you have to use initial document or something, or initial selection document and this document are 2 different documents. For example, before we issue the document, we get the initial information of the supplier. Very complex thing. Again, they have management services, standard procurement, qualification document, management services. RFB management service, completely a different area. Non-consulting services. RFB non-consulting services. Consulting services is also included, but it is not relevant here. Not relevant to this discussion anyway, the World Bank available document. And information system, as I mentioned earlier, our information system, single stage 1 envelope. Initial selection document information system, RFPs information systems, right? So there are complex systems if you want to procure IS. And in addition, I said they have issued user guides. That means you can read, especially I recommend those who are very interested, keen in this area, download soft copies and read how you can use these documents. They have given very nice user guides. So large works, design and build, user guide, streamline universal document. Competitive dialogue is a completely different, how we can negotiate things like that with the contractors under different circumstances. Standard procurement document, framework agreement, as I mentioned earlier. So now it is available. We also have introduced in our new guideline. That means you can sign a contract not only 1 year. You can sign a contract for 2 years or 3 years. Not only one contractor, you can have multiple contractors. That arrangement is there. Okay. So ADB also has issued large documents, set of documents, standard bidding document and user guide to procurement of works using Friedrich Red book. So if you are interested, I think this is a very useful document. That is covered the design and build, measure and pay is a Red book issued in 2017. I don't get confused. I think it's more and more information I am dumping. And this is for your introductory part, for your awareness only, right? So if you are really interested, you go and search document and keep copy. Standard bidding document and user guide to procurement work, small contracts. Small contracts and big contracts, there is no mandated threshold. Generally, I think in the World Bank ADB, they have given threshold. In Sri Lanka, we have given millions, 300 million, whatever. In the guideline, they have specified what is called the small and what are the, I think, more than $1 million or something, right? Standard bidding document and user guide to procurement plant, right? Design, supply, and installation, right? That is very interesting documents. Standard bidding document and user guide to procurement information technology, products and services, IS, like World Bank. Standard bidding documents and user guide to design, build, operate contract. For water and wastewater, greenfield infrastructure. This is what under PPP, right? So this is basically used for private-public partnership project. That means money is not GUSL. GUSL provides some facilities, but the money is coming from the investor or proponents, and we give our requirements, or they by their own unsolicited proposal, whatever they. So they design, they build, and they operate. Operate for a period. That's called build, own, operate. BOO project. Build, own, operate. They have the ownership during the operational period. So that is for water and wastewater, whatever they have developed a document. Because under PPP, I think there's another module on PPP in your MSc program. If I have the opportunity, I will come there. Standard procurement document user guide to pre-qualification of bidder. As I mentioned earlier, pre-qualification is a completely different process. In this exercise also, I mean, in the future, we will touch this pre-qualification process and document. Standard bidding documents and user guide to procurement work, small contract, the same thing, no? Yes. Standard bidding document user guide to procurement of goods, general goods. simple document, sample document for request for, that is shopping. That is very good, shopping. Download, especially this one and this one. Goods and, because we also have the document now, NPC, this you can use for NPC. I don't know whether they have mentioned LCB or NCB. Maybe good, big document, but let's see. Especially this one, how the differences between our document and ADB document. I don't think the World Bank has a request for quotation document. All right. Now having understood some available, I mean, if you go to JBIC, Japanese JICA, you will come to know some document. I request you to go and search, because I can't do everything. I search internet and downloaded this. For your understanding, you can especially go to JBIC site and identify what are the available documents. Because if you use JICA funds, that is basically Japan and Sri Lanka only. So you'll have to use their document, right? If it is Chinese, Japanese loan or whatever. Right. Now, having understood the available standard documents, local and international, now we turn our discussion to a different area. What are the information we should include in a advertisement, right? You have seen a lot of advertisements in newspapers and websites, etc. But if you don't furnish the correct information, that is a problem. One thing is many attractive bids you will miss. The second thing is, even though they submit bids, sometimes we cannot evaluate properly, and you will come across various complaints because that was not in the bid notice. Now you have put in the bidding document, because there are mandatory information identified that should be in the notice. All information should not be in the notice. Very critical, important information you should include in the notice. If you really refer some of the documents are the notices, you will understand how many mistakes they have made, right? Okay, in our guideline, we have given some guidance. A request for bids means basically request for bids, invitation. Request for bid or invitation for bid, IFB means invitation for bid. Request for information, this one is request for information. That is basically we use because we are not sure, especially for information systems. IS system, we are not much aware of what we want. That is our thing, no? We want to develop information systems. We don't know much about that. We want to get from the developer. Therefore, for that purpose, we publish a notice called RFI. So, RFP is request for proposals, and EOI is expression of interest. This word generally used for consultancy, but now we are calling proposals also, not only bids. We, as he said, that's why we changed the word bids to proposal. So EOI is important. Providing a wide publicity, whatever, RFP or whatever, EOI. Appropriately and timely is considered as key element to ensure principle of fairness, transparency, and competitiveness in public. So you have learned, our learning partners learn in the first module, what are the key principles. Transparency, you have to consider the competitiveness and fairness, right? It is essential for providing fair opportunities, to provide fair opportunities to all interested parties. all parties, potential bidders, and ensuring economical and effective procurement. What are the responsibility of the committee regarding this? Because as I said, you must check. Since you are working in the procurement department, procurement division, you should have this knowledge. But if you sitting as a PC or TC member, BC member, you must check. Once they are submitted, you must check. This is missing. How can you do if you don't have the knowledge in your fingertips? You cannot refer the guidelines or big documents. By sight, you should identify. That is your competence. PC is responsible to decide the best mean for providing appropriate and wide publicity for this, right? So, because our guidelines say, at least in one newspaper and things like that, you have to follow that. But if you consider international procurement, publishing in local newspaper is not sufficient. You'll have to use internationally. How? What? I think we have learned that. What are the available websites earlier? PC, the dates for requesting for bid proposal, the dates. You cannot deviate this. For example, if you use ICB, you have to give mandatory minimum dates for bidders to respond. You all know that 42 days is the minimum. For requesting for bids, if it is national, minimum 21. And others are different dates. Limited, if it is limited international, 28, limited national, 14 days, shopping, 7 days. Those are calendar days, basically. But if you, especially for shopping, if you have more holidays in between, you have to change a little bit. These are called minimum. For requesting for bid proposal should be decided at the PC meeting, at a PC meeting based on PTS, right? Procurement time schedule, you know that. And such decision should be properly recorded, right? Appropriate publicity that should be given under different procurement methods, under different procurement. That's what I want to tell you. So shopping, you are not advertised, you have a different methods. Now you have e-procurement also are described under the chapter 3 of the procurement guidelines and manual. Due to this advantage, it is emphasized to advertise both in printed and electronic. Advertise, because nowadays people are using internet heavily. You can utilize because the publishing printed media is very costly. But sometimes it is mandated still, because still we cannot fully depend on electronic mode, because some areas they don't have access. Media where appropriate. The PE is advised to advertise in the website of the PE. So you advertise in your website first, and general treasury and NPC appropriately, not all procurement, we have given some thresholds. If the value is, for example, more than, according to my memory, if 750 million, that means our ICB level. Those advertisements should be copied to NPC website also and treasury website, because they also have the responsibility to see whether this advertisement is correct and things like that. Decision of PC on this should be promptly implemented by the PE. Invitation for bid proposal shall contain sufficient information required, not all. What are the sufficient information contained? For respective bidders to make decision. To make a decision, bidder to make a decision whether to bid or not. Whether to bid or not. That is the important decision they have to take. If you don't provide the relevant information, they can't take a decision. And you are in trouble, and they will query, and they will talk to media. And mean, the following may be such useful. Now, scope of work. You should give some description of the work. We are going to construct a 100-kilometer highway road. Something like. What is the source of funds? USL, World Bank, ADB, and why? If once you put the source of fund, they immediately understand what is the relevant guidelines. So if it is USL, they know they can refer our guidelines because they also download, not only you download, they also can freely download our guidelines and manuals and understand. And also earlier we have issued another manual called the Bidder's Manual. That is how to submit a successful bid, right? So we have to revise accordingly and revisit and issue again. Applicable procurement guideline we have put in addition to this. Name and address of the PE, very correct address for bidder to give some clarification request or submit bids. And when you give the name and address of the bid, you must give correct location also. Main eligibility. What is the eligible? Who can bid? Because everybody can't bid. For example, World Bank procurement, they say eligibility is eligible World Bank eligible countries. Not all countries in the world are eligible for World Bank procurements. Some are excluded, sanctioned, like Iran, for example, Afghanistan, for example, Iraq, for example. Time to time they check. ADB member countries, South Asian countries, East whatever, ADB member countries, not others. Right? And what are the experience main experience, 5-year experience or main qualification requirement? Those are critical. Otherwise, unnecessarily they spend their money because they are not having the proper experience, what you expect, and qualification they have what you expect. Then they spend millions of rupees. I mean, submitting a bid is a very costly matter. You must understand that, right? So we should not do that. We should not play games with people. You must be very cautious about the information. Method is very important. What is the method? Method ICB. Then immediately they also, I mean, non-people, they also have their procurement experts. No? So they go to website and download the documents, World Bank or whatever, or GSL, because all documents are not secret. Anybody could be able to download. So what else? Applicability of any domestic preference. That is very important. I think we discuss domestic preference. We discuss in evaluation also how to apply. If we intend to use domestic preference, we must mention in the notice also. In the document you definitely mention, but if you don't include in the document, advertisement, that is a very big mistake, because if you give 30%, 20% preference to local suppliers, though they will not, the foreign bidders sometimes will not bid because they have a less chance to win the contract, right? Therefore, you must include domestic preference. What is the percentage also? Then you must put another important in how they can inspect document. I think purchasing is also costly. You should have one copy at the PMD or whatever the relevant division for bidders to come and review the document, right? But never issue soft copies until you have the EGP system in place. right? Because they can change. Inspect arrangement. Dates, place, and manner of collecting procurement document. How they can purchase the documents. What is the final date? You know the date. Final date is 1 day prior to the closing. Whatever the document, whatever the method you follow, ICB, NCB, whatever, bidders are allowed to purchase the document 1 day prior to the closing. And from where you can purchase? Please, what is the contact number of the officer in charge and how you have to purchase the way you can purchase and things like that. Amount of fees of the and method of payment, all fees of the document must mention. That is based on the circular issue. And that is we have incorporated into the manual. Obtaining of further clarity, that is very important. Once they purchase the document, they may get 1,000 odd questions, ambiguities. So they should be able to clarify that. So you have to include the name and designation of the responsible officer. That officer should be a procurement conversant, not a general officer who cannot answer their questions. He should be a procurement, sufficient knowledge in procurement, right? And their email, postal address, telephone number, fact, everything should be given. That is for clarification purpose, right? And you know what, in case of bid, we require bid security or bid securing declaration. You should mention the amount. This is the bid security amount. What is the validity period, deadline for the bid security requirements? All that includes the amount, validity date, etc., etc. Deadline, that is very important. And place of submission. If you put the date and time also, deadline, the date and time. Say, normally you should put a morning time closing, not a evening time. Because if evening time, sometimes the bids come on the way and that cannot reach to your office. So if you put the morning time, all the bids you have received up say 10 a.m. You can search, because sometimes wrongly that bids go to other places. Even though you have instructed, that is not your responsibility. Generally, bidders are responsible for that. But if you put a morning time, you can search from other division, have you received any bids of this? If they have received, no problem. You can ask them to bring that document to our procurement box or whatever the almirah or room you can keep, right? So you should have sufficient time. If you put to 3 o'clock in the evening, afternoon, so you have no time to search and you are about to leave the office and things like that, right? That is very important, even though those are very critical things. As a practice, it is recommended to incorporate whatever this thing in the front of the procurement document. Normally, it is not a part of the procurement documents. It is outside the document, right? It is procurement document. As we discussed, different contents. But general, as a practice, you keep as a front document. Then we must consider the clarity of see how many, right, not much, no? Clarity of procurement documents.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Shall we ask if there are a participant who have any doubt or clarifications up to now, sir?
Okay. You ask any question?
Yeah. Then,
Please.
dear participants, so if you up to now, if you have any doubts, clarifications, so if you need to knowing about anything, you can just ask. Anything from your side?
Oh, no, it's all right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah, sir. Shall we continue, sir?
Okay, thank you, Madhuni. Then the clarity of procurement documents, as I mentioned earlier also, it is very critical. PE with the assistance of PCE or BC shall take appropriate action to ensure prospective bidders, proposers to understand require the PE with clarity. So they should be very clear on the document. By arranging a pre-bid meeting. All right, that is very, very important. It is a mandatory for complex procurement, right? So once you issue your specification, your BOQ, your drawing, your conditions, your data, blah, 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 bidder get 1,000 question to ask. Then you should arrange a pre-bid meeting 10 days prior to the closing. Whatever the closing date you have, your pre-bid meeting should be 10 days prior. If you have a free bid, that also can be mentioned in the bid notice, right? Bid notice, this is the pre-bid meeting. They will aware, okay, now they search, they inspect the document and they send their queries, okay? And site visits, and they can see the site, because otherwise they don't know how to put the price. If the terrain of the site enable them to submit the bids unambiguously. Objective of the pre-bid proposal meeting is to clarify issues raised by the prospective bidders proposal who have purchased. Okay. So other people can't ask questions. That is also thing. Clarify issues only the people, those who purchase the document. Outside people come and ask, or the media people, they can't ask questions, right? That is again. And explain the intention of PE in order to consider appropriate changes. Once, that is very important again. Sometimes we have made mistakes in the specification, BOQ, designs, drawings, condition, whatever. So then we discuss at the pre-bid meeting. So bidders are there and your officials are there, TEC and procurement committee officials, chairperson at least, and especially the procurement experts from the government side, because they ask questions, procurement related questions, right? You should be able to answer. Engineers, those who prepare the designs, if right, relevantly. So explain the intention in order to consider appropriate changes, right? So after the rebid meeting, if both parties agree to changes, then the agency, procurement entity, should issue another document called the addenda. Addenda is the amendments to the bidding document. This addenda should be sent to all people, those who come to the pre-bid meeting or not. We must send addenda to all bidders in writing, by post, by...
So, excuse me.
Yes.
Let's say we have called for bids national under the national competitive biddings.
Okay.
We have given 21 days for the bid period.
Yeah.
I mean bid opening.
Yeah.
The pre-bid meeting will be held on 10 days prior to the bid opening.
Okay.
Then from the advertisement place date, the
Yeah.
people who are interested to the bid will take the bid documents.
Okay.
But those who will not attend to the pre-bid meeting will submit the document without with the corrections without obtaining addenda. What
No,
will be
no, no,
happen?
no, 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 no. Once we issue the document after the pre-bid meeting, we issue along with the addenda also. Addenda is attached. Got the point?
Those who obtain the document prior to the pre-bid meeting, what will happen?
Then we send. We send the addenda by post or by email or whatever the way to reach the bidders.
Is the responsibility up to the company or the bidder to take the addenda?
Company, that means entity, procurement entity.
Okay.
Government, we are talking government, no? Say government department or ministries responsible to send the addenda to the bidders, those who participated or not participated. Number one, irrespective of they've come or not come. Number two, we issue bidding document, no? Even after the pre-bid meeting, because one day prior to the closing. Now we issue bidding document with the addenda as an annexion. Both documents we issue. Understand?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Is there a possibility to do a pre-bid meeting for the shopping methods also?
Yes. No problem.
No problem.
No problem.
That,
But you
we
can't
have
give
the
10 days. No?
7 days. Yes, 10 days prior to. There
So
is a
you
problem.
can have 3-4 days prior.
Prior to the-
It's a good
yeah.
practice. It's
Yes.
no harm at all.
Yes. I am in the Open University. Normally, we are doing some critical specification is there. We are doing the
Yeah,
pre-bid
yeah.
meeting.
It is a good practice, no? Which
Okay,
means
sir.
we have nothing to hide. Okay, this is our specification. If you have any problem, you come and discuss. If we agree, we can't agree all the changes they propose. If we agree, our consultants or whoever, then we change the document. That changes are part and parcel of the bidding document. You are correct, no problem. A pre-bid or proposal meeting, normally we use both words, pre-proposal meeting. Since we are calling proposals also, no? I mean, if we use proposal, we cannot use the pre-bid meeting. Please use pre-proposal meeting, right? Especially for consultancy services, we have a pre-proposal meeting. Similarly, here now we get not only bids, proposals, as I mentioned at the beginning. Pre-proposal meeting shall be conducted at least, as I said, at least 10 days. Calendar days, not working days. Otherwise, you have no time before bid closing. In the case of procurement exceeding million, sufficient days for the other procurement. So, if million funds is more than 50 million, and you have to give sufficient days in your case, even 3 million, you can give pre-bid meeting given 3 days, right? But we say, so we are normally used for million, 300, 500 million, no? But 50 million is not a big amount if you talk that. We say we can give reduced time. That is the idea, yeah? Not 10 days. Minutes of the pre-bid meeting, that is important. Minutes of the pre-bid meeting shall be recorded and disseminated to all bidders, those who have purchased the document. That is the point I said. If finding of pre-proposal meeting warranted amending the procurement document, such amendment shall be approved by the PC. That amendment, whatever the amendment we discuss, I mean, PC and TC people are there. Sometimes PC is not there, only TCs are there. So that should be sent to the PC for their approval. Otherwise, you cannot. Because earlier procurement document also approved by the procurement committee. And this is the part and parcel of the document that approval should be obtained from the committee in writing and circulated among all prospective bidders. And addenda, that is the word we use. Addenda shall be issued to bidders proposals who have purchased document. However, such addenda shall be issued at least addenda shall be issued at least not the closing date, prior to the closing, 3 working days. That is the problem. If you have 3-day pre-bid meeting for shopping, so you have no time according to the guideline, but I don't think it will be a big issue. We say normal pre-bid meeting, no. So even at least you keep at least 2 days or 1 day at least, no. Otherwise, bidders has no time to respond, right? Provided such changes are substantial to the initial procurement, document P may consider calling for press bids. If there are many changes are substantial, fundamental changes are there, you'll have to use a fresh bid, new bid, by incorporating all the changes proposed. But it should be a rare incident. You should not propose all the time because it is delaying your procurement. Any additional information, clarification, correction of errors, or modification of procurement document by the PE shall be circulated among all bidders who have purchased the document. Sufficient time prior to the expiry of the deadline bid proposal closing should be given in order that bidders to be able to take appropriate action. It is advisable to give a deadline, shall be a working day, to obtain clarification in procurement document, showing prospective bidders to seek clarification and prepare a proper bid proposal. This date shall be determined by the PE considering bid proposal closing date, giving adequate time in order. If we don't have a pre-bid meeting, but you can get clarifications, right? Right. Whatever it is, you have to issue addenda if you change the document. A prospective bidder requiring any clarification of the procurement document should notify the PE in writing. All clarification should be in writing. All clarifications should be in writing. And
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, so, most of the time that at the pre-bid meeting, most of the bidder asked to extend the delivery period, bid closing date. So
Yeah.
shall we extend with
Now
both party agree?
if changes are substantial, we have to decide that. Because if you made lot of changes, then bidders need additional time. Even 10 days is not sufficient, or 3 day prior to 3 working days is not sufficient for them to arrange. If it is justifiable, we'll have to change the deadline. In such a situation, we'll have to change the bid security validity period also sometimes. No. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Disclose in the procurement document. Response should be sent in writing. Okay. Copies of the query and clarification note should be sent to all. That is also in copies of query. Many people query, no, and notes could be sent to all proxy bidders who have purchased the document. Because only few non-people make queries, others unaware, then you have to send queries and your notes, the procurement. The bidders who will purchase the document after the clarification deadline, modified procurement document shall be issued. That's what I said. That means you are not going to change the document. Use document attached with the addenda. Now, I don't want to discuss instruction to bidders. This is just
Excuse me, sir.
yes.
Uh, Small clarification on pre-bid meetings.
Okay.
When there is a pre-bid meeting, the chairman of the TEC or maybe members of the TEC will expose to the bidders, at the
Yeah,
pre-bid meeting.
we don't say no. We don't name the chairman TC. We don't name them. They are officers. They are sitting there.
But my experience is that once the pre-bid meeting is conducted, there
Okay.
may be unnecessary approach by the suppliers to the TECs. How
Yeah.
can we eliminate those kind of things?
So you cannot eliminate anything because the all members should sign the declaration. They secrecy. They should should not disclose anything, and they should not involve with conflict of interest matters, whatever. So that cannot be avoided because we will have to need their service. We will not introduce. This is Mr. So and so, the chairman of TEC. We will not disclose. And we should not name them, nothing, because this is a discussion, not a formal other meeting. So they appear to ask question and answer. You can just say this from the government side or university side to answer your question. If they ask, you need not to detail out their designation, names, and things like that. That is the only thing you can do. But they can find out. That is, we can't help. No.
That is the thing.
Yeah.
They will get the inside information.
Not only that, they know exactly our inside information. You don't know. Okay. Forget about that. That is a practice thing. But your question is rational, and the way we have to do is without disclosing their designation and things like that. And ITB, these are the information because in our future presentations, we will detailedly discuss instruction to bidders, bid data sheet, etc. So, but I say one thing, the information that should be provided on ITB depend on the nature, etc., depend on the document. That is different. That's the thing I can tell you at the moment. And condition of contract also, there are a lot of information and we need not to discuss here. We have a time to discuss in detail. This is for your just understanding the rights and obligation of both parties. Specification also, there are a lot of information. Bidding forms. I said in the content, there are contract forms, bidding forms. There are large numbers. Some forms are not in the guideline manual. Sometimes we have to develop some schedules based on their requirement. Okay. Finally, this is the format given in the manual for you to understand what are the contents of bidding document from here under different contract types, say works contract, goods contract, and service contract. And works under measure and pay, lump sum, design and build. What are the, for example, say specification is not there under design and build, right? That is contractor's job. Yeah. Similarly, specification is not there, same thing. Same thing, don't worry about it. Right. Okay. It's a repetition. Anyway, custom design, supply, and there are some specifications are missing. Just an idea, don't worry. This is in our manual. Why we didn't document, we have no time to explain. That is Asian Development Bank and various document and all the things we discuss is relevant. It is therefore essential that the details of the work and the rights and obligations of the parties are clearly expressed in writing. Failure to do so would almost certainly lead to cost litigation. That is the thing, costly litigation. They go to courts. So that's what several standard forms have been therefore evolved over the years, which can be adapted for suit various. That's why I said this is the expert job. the development of conditions of contract, instruction to bidders, etc., are developed by procurement expert consultants. That's why we discuss the FIDIC and NEC, ICT, and various people, expert people. What we do is we use this document. We are not going to develop documents. It is a very expert job. So standard content, great number of information possible to individual process. Some we can delete. However, all deletion, whatever, should be done in separate document, not in the general forms or standard forms. We'll discuss that later. Don't worry. This is a master document, that is the FIDIC harmonized version. That is also, don't worry, because under FIDIC we'll discuss the master document. Because this is a widely used document. That's what I have put. Many donors, there are a large number of donors they use, because this is a harmonized version, agreeable to all. Right? So high value complex procurement, all regarding master. I don't want to discuss here because we have another session now. FIDIC. Now, still you can ask any particular question if you have, but we will, I will arrange a session plan to cover different documents, starting from shopping. How you can use shopping document, works goods, and use practically how we can use. I propose you, especially the university participants, those who are engaged in procurement, please come with some case studies, or you email me at least one goods and one works document cases you have, right? Please email me. You all know my email address. I can give you to this email address. You can send. Say simple, all simple. WITISSPRA at gmail.com. What I want is your practical case, but you should send in advance, right? So I can consider properly then. Before at least next week, send me this work shopping case. And similarly, you can send case later on for NCB level, works, goods, services also, 3, right? Keep, please give your support to identify case studies, actual case studies. Then we discuss the document and we discuss your real case also. Can you do that?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, please. Okay, then shall we stop if you don't have any further question? Naduni? Asari?
Yes, sir. So
Okay.
thank you so much, sir. And then I hope that whoever the participants today join with us then have gained proper idea regarding. Actually, today we are just discuss about the introduction to bidding documents and the in the initial details regard the bidding document. So further, as sir earlier mentioned, in our session plan, actually we are going to discuss then the different standard bidding document for the work, goods and services, for the national bidding document for works and NPA bidding document for good and service, donor agency standard bidding documents, contract document and bidding forms, and then then the preparation of bidding documents and pre-qualification process, as well as then the FIDIC conditions of the contract as per the then the Ivan Tisera. Sir, thank you so much that actually in the each and every time you are just join with us and disseminating this knowledge with the parties who are actually then look in these kind of forums. So that's why, sir, we decided to share that this particular session with the whoever the interested parties in the university as well as the other areas, so then they can just access to the our session. And in the another thing, one of the participant who asked one question, sir.
Okay.
Then he asked how far it is significant to incorporate sustainability clauses in bidding doc from Sri Lankan public procurement perspective.
Yeah, number one, I discussed some points relating to sustainable procurement in our guideline. It's a separate chapter, but still we have not decided the way forward. That means the green procurement, green standards, etc., etc. But some parts, for example, sustainable procurement under value for money, we have taken into account. Now we have given some hints or guidelines how to evaluate. I think I discussed with the participants how to evaluate bids for considering value for money, right? Life cycle costing, etc. So generally, part of the sustainable procurement is inbuilt to our guidelines. And similarly, you can incorporate into the bidding document, especially if you want to use life cycle costing. It is part of the sustainable procurement. But the major part is green part, green construction, green procurement. Yet we have not developed. We are working with the Ministry of Environment. So we have agreed in principle to issue a separate guideline on sustainable procurement, maybe next year. Then we can fully endorse, we can fully engage with sustainable procurement. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. And further, dear participants, I have put one of the feedback form link into the chat box. Please take at least just few minutes and fill out that Google form, because it's really help us to improve our future sessions, as well as if you need to need any further clarifications, and if you feel that we have to discuss some other aspects regard the bidding document, so we can just arrange accordingly. And especially, sir, thank you so much. And then we hope in the next session you all are will join with us, and then we will share next session details with you as soon as possible. And further, then in the lecture recording as well as the PPT slide, we will share with you then these are the thing. And thank you so much for participating in today's session. And especially, I would like to thank Ivan sir for just given this kind of discussion and this kind of forum for your valuable time. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, then I hope you can fill out that Google form. Just take in few minutes.
Thank you so much, Naduni. Then Asari, I will skip then. I leave the.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much,
Thank
and
you
good
so much,
night.
sir.
Good
Okay.
night. Good night,
Good
everybody.
night, sir. Okay.
Good night.